This is it, the final part of my Nextfest 2023 showcase. We finally reached the end of all the indie games I had a chance to play and check out from the event. So without further ado, let's wrap this thing up already. We are starting things off with Return from Core. This is a kind of survival crafter action adventure game. Think of something along the lines of a Minecraft or Terraria, but done in like the similar style or kind of like aesthetic and tone of a Zelda-like. We live deep in the Earth's core, where monsters and other things inhabit it after the surface has been utterly destroyed. But we're still going to try and make our way back up through the power of farming, crafting, and eventually automation and combat. If you've played any of the survival crafter style games, then the basics of this one should be very familiar to you. You will be harvesting rocks, monsters, and more for materials that you will need to craft and upgrade your various gear. Progression in this one will involve you going to the different layers of the Earth's core, finding bigger and badder monsters, more and more powerful materials to make stuff out of, and of course trying not to get killed or starve to death. We did not get a chance to see this in the demo, but the store page does show off there will be automation and production chains you can set up to kind of alleviate some of the early game troubles. I'm not quite sure from a progression standpoint if each floor of the game is kind of like a self-contained deal, as in once you beat floor 1, you never return to floor 1, you go to floor 2 and so on, or will each floor kind of act as, I guess, like more areas to explore, so you'll always return to kind of like your starting area as your home base. If I had any complaints about this from the demo, the first is that it can be, as per this genre, very slow at the start to get going. And the game introduces several additional wrinkles that may throw you off, such as using a scanner to find necessary ore. Of course, your weapons and so on will have durability to them, and you'll need to kind of establish your home base before you can really get into the exploration and combat side of things. On the combat side, one issue that I had is the hitbox for some of the enemies can be a little bit weird when you're using melee. You see, if you're swinging at like kind of like the enemy square or tile they're in, but your mouse cursor is not directly on them, your character will swing, but it won't count as an attack. And that can become very annoying when you're fighting like faster enemies and stuff like that. All in all, Return from Core does show some promise as more of an action-adventure take on the survival crafter. I'm curious to see where it will end up. If you're looking for another kind of logistics-style game along these lines, I would give this one a check. But if you're not in the mood for a whole lot of mining and refining, then this game is not going to probably work for you. We now turn to Crossover Roll for Initiative. This is a game that combines a whole lot of genres into something quite different. It's one part match 3 game, one part tower defense, and one part tabletop RPG. Our concept is that monsters from computer games are trying to take out our character sheets from our tabletop RPGs. And we're going to have to roll a whole lot of dice in order to fight back. The rules here is that as you match 3 or more of the same color dice on the right hand side, they will provide you with resources that you can use on the various options you have on your character sheet. Your different weapons, spells, summon characters to help you, etc. Meanwhile, the enemies are going to be wandering around on your sheet here, trying to attack various stats, including your attributes, health, and so on. And you're going to do your best job to stop that. Now, one thing that I did have some trouble with was trying to figure out why certain attacks weren't working, why some were doing a whole lot of damage, and the game is definitely leaning into the tabletop side of things all the way. The kind of campaign structure is that you're going to be playing different tabletop modules, and the game features some nice art there, although the UI at this point does feel a little bit on the rougher side, especially some of the tutorial menus. This is one of those games that does show some promise, but it could do a better job of kind of guiding the player in terms of understanding what is going on and what should they be doing to fight back against these enemies. If you're looking for a very different take on, well, all those genres I mentioned a few minutes ago, then this could certainly be one worth checking out. And now for the last game of our showcase, this is the Great Ambition of the Slimes. This is a tactical strategy RPG style game where you control the slimes that are trying to rise up and take back their place in the world. And while they are incredibly weak, they do have one very disturbing power. They can absorb humans and then take them over and use them as fighting material in this game. And it makes this very adorable looking game quite disturbing if you stop and think about it for one moment. Each character belongs to a different elemental type, and you want to match these slimes to absorb characters of the same type while fighting against what they're strong for. As the game goes on, you'll gain access to different slimes that will have additional properties, additional rules how they use, and of course, more and more humans, monsters, and so on will get thrown into the mix that you'll need to figure out. It's a very interesting take on the strategy RPG formula, as technically you will always be outnumbered in combat, but again, you're going to be taking over a good half or more of the army to then fight for you. I don't know if there's going to be more to the, persistent or progression side of things. I saw that slimes can level up, but I don't know if there's anything more in terms of equipment, special upgrades, etc, etc. So this game is looking to be, both adorable and very disturbing all at the same time. So if you are a fan of tactical strategy style games and looking for one that, as the store page says, kind of flips the script on everything, then this could be one worth checking out for you. And with that, we are finally done with our Nextfest 2023 coverage. So I hope everyone enjoyed something during this part. I'll have probably a best of series to go up at some point in the future. But if you enjoyed things, do all that liking and subscribing. Let me know what you thought of Nextfest and some of your favorite games down below. If you're an indie developer that you let me take a look at for an upcoming video and stream, please reach out. And if you're interested in my books on design, be sure to pick them up wherever books are being sold. I'm going to take a mini vacation now after all of this, but we'll be back real soon with more discussions here and on Game Wisdom, where we some of the art and science of games. Until next time, take care.